What is up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Grant from One Fair Review, and I am back with another movie review. It has been a long time. When I mean a long time, I mean probably a month. Yeah, it's been a long time. Why not? Today we are doing another sort of small kind of movie that is probably going to bomb at the box office. Red Sparrow, starring Jennifer Lawrence, my favorite. So what is this movie about? So this is a spy thriller movie about a Russian girl or dancer who gets in an accident while she was dancing or performing on stage. And to sort of put use to her, her uncle, who works with the government of Russia, decides to put her through this whole training, this school called for the Sparrows or something like that. What this is pretty much this school teaches these soldiers, whether it be women or men, how to whore themselves out to other people to get information, gain their trust, and to get whatever they want from them. And then there's a whole lot of other things. There also is a plot with an American CIA agent who fucks up, and now the Russians are trying to find out who that agent was and who he was dealing with in Russia. And then the movie keeps on going for 2 hours, and it's just an enjoyable ride. So how was this movie? The best way I could describe this movie is it's a mess. It is a mess of different things. It is a mess of plot points. It is a mess of characters. It's just messy. The movie just at times it could be somewhat interesting, but most of the time it's boring. Most of the time you're just moving on from hotel room to hotel room, just kind of waiting for the next thing to happen, hoping that something happens. In fact, midway through the movie, I kind of forgot what I was doing or where we were going, so I was just like, wait, what the fuck am I doing again? What are we here with? And it was just kind of like, okay, it just keeps on moving on, the plot, but the plot isn't really that interesting to begin with. It's just like, okay, it could be kind of interesting. But like the movie just has so many like different problems that surround it that it's kind of frustrating to watch. And a lot of those problems have to do with the main character, which her name escapes me right now, played by Jennifer Lawrence. Now Jesus Christ, Jennifer Lawrence has been in no movie that I have liked. In every single movie that I've seen her in, I just don't like the movie. The only exceptions are the X-Men movies, except for Apocalypse. But even then, she was usually a small part of them. So it's like, okay, whatever. She was always the worst part. So I've never liked her in any movie, or I haven't seen a movie where I liked her in, and I was kind of hoping, okay, maybe this will be somewhat good. But no. It is extremely, extremely hard to take the movie seriously when Jennifer Lawrence is doing a Russian accent, and it is inconsistent at best. So there are times where it's kind of convincing, like, oh, okay, I can see, maybe she is Russian, and then she'll, like, mess up a few times. It's like, oh, fuck, you completely tarnished it. And this happens constantly throughout the movie, so her accent is consistently inconsistent. And on top of that, her character motivations, her character herself is just kind of boring. She was just a dancer. She's trying to take care of her mother. And the reason why she's going through this hell is because she was given no choice. And, there's some good messages about Russian ideals and stuff. But all together, it doesn't really matter towards the end, because it's like, I don't care who she is, what she's doing. I don't really care about her. And it doesn't even make sense how she's a spy, this Sparrow thing, because in the beginning of the movie they announce, or they do state, that she was always a dancer, and she trained her life to be a dancer, and once she couldn't be a dancer, they make her into this Sparrow. And then throughout the movie we see her not only doing good, but outsmarting her own government and outsmarting everyone around her and getting everything done. She's just perfect. She perfectly executes everything that she's trying to do. And I'm just thinking, how is she doing this? This is a dancer. Like, is she really this smart? What the fuck was she doing before? No wonder they were disappointed in her. She has this amazing ability, and she's a dancer. It's just kind of weird. It's just like she went from being a dancer and kind of acting like a child to being a serious Sparrow-ish person. And probably the biggest offender of this movie is the whole Sparrow plot. The Sparrow plot is kind of interesting in and of itself, about these men and women that have to whore themselves out to other men and women to, gain their trust and try to get something from them. That's fine and everything. Not my favorite, but whatever. And but it really goes nowhere, because at no point in the rest of the movie do we ever see her really being a sparrow. Besides one or two people mentioning, "So you're a sparrow, I hear," or, "Oh, I heard you were a sparrow and you do this," and blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, what? Is she gonna do something that's sparrow-like? Because she just looks like a secret agent to me. She is acting nothing like a sparrow. It's only in the very beginning that the sparrow plot is relevant, but then the rest, it doesn't even pay off. Most things in this movie don't pay off. There's like the thing where her uncle is like kind of a pervert, but then that happens in one scene and never again. And then we just move on from scene to scene to scene to scene, not getting to know these characters, not getting to know anybody, just moving on the plot. And it's so fucking long that it gets really boring and really tedious. I swear, I started counting how many hotel rooms we were getting into, because it was all over the place. It was just, this movie was so boring to watch, and thank God I didn't fall asleep, because I did go watch it at 7 p.m. unlike 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. like I usually do. But this movie had nothing going for it. It had a few cool themes, and that was it. It was just kind of like, it's just kind of boring, kind of going through the plot. And all the actors, some of them are actually doing really good, some of them are convincing and compelling, but we don't get to spend enough time with them, so we don't really get to know them as people, and we just don't care at the end of the film. It's like, oh, okay. To kind of name a few of the things I liked about the movie, however, since why not? A few things I liked is the cinematography in the movie was quite beautiful. It was beautifully done, and the production did look magnificent. It looked great. The style and everything. Yeah, the music at times really did shine. However, there is a big problem with that as well, because this movie tries to sell itself as kind of a gritty, realistic Russian scenario. And it does have like some really, really touchy scenes, some disturbing stuff, like a rape scene, and then of course an interrogation scene where they're beating these two people, and it's really hard to watch. So it's like you have this, and then you compare it to the rest, and it's like the rest looks so glamorous and so beautifully made, and so like it looks just like, oh, we have to position every single strand of hair on Jennifer Lawrence's head just perfectly. And it just looks fake. It just feels fake next to these gritty, realistic events that are happening. And that's the thing, it's trying to sell itself as gritty and realistic. But Jennifer Lawrence, they make her so beautiful in this movie. They give her the most expensive dress, the most expensive makeup, the best hairstyle as a hairdresser, like she looks absolutely amazing. And even when she gets a scar, it's like, oh, you don't even notice it. It's like, okay, like they went, so it does seem like they went out of their way to make sure the fashion was just perfect, that her body was perfect, her face was perfect, and instead of focusing on the real story, they focused on how could they make her look her best. And then in that way, like, the sort of, when I say the movie is beautifully done, it's beautifully done, but it's not realistically done. And then the last thing I kind of liked about the movie was the ending, the twist at the end of the movie, like the big twist. And it's not necessarily just because I didn't expect it, because, obviously I cannot expect a twist and it would still be bad. But this twist, I didn't expect it, I didn't see it coming. But on top of that, it goes through this montage showing us like how this twist was going on throughout the movie and showing different scenes, and I was like, oh, so that's what they were doing earlier. Because earlier on, I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Why is this in the movie? And then it pays off at the end. I was like, okay, it's a really clever twist, and I did like it. I did actually like the somewhat end of the movie, the twist portion of it. But the journey that it took to get up to that twist really wasn't worth it. It was really boring, really just kind of like just moving on. Some of the scenery, like I said, the cinematography and Russia itself, it looks beautiful, and even the fashion, I loved the fashion in this movie, the clothes, the costume department did a great job, but it looks so fake that it was hard for me to really get invested into this movie. And other than that, I don't know what else to say besides it was not what I was expecting. And what I mean by that is I wasn't expecting much. I was honestly expecting nothing, and I came out with maybe a good twist. But other than that, the movie just doesn't add anything to anything. I remember a long time ago I watched Child 42, and that movie added a lot more characters, a lot more depth, and it was a lot more into its story than it was making the main character look as beautiful as possible, because that is what this movie is. And for anybody who's a fan of Jennifer Lawrence, I'm pretty sure they'd like this movie a lot, because they do their best to make her look beautiful beyond belief. And you can even see her almost completely naked at a few scenes in the movie. So I mean, if that's what you're into, you get to see some of that. It's towards the beginning of the movie. Towards the end, not really. As it goes for the American side of the plot, it was really clumsily done. It was just kind of in there. It was just like, well, there they are. Just do something with them, but they never did. And I was like, okay, fine. By the end of the movie, I was completely unsatisfied with the ending. The ending was supposed to be like, figure it out. Determine what you think the ending is. And I was just not satisfied. I didn't even understand what was going on. Towards the end, she's like considered a hero, and she's promoted to a commander, general, sergeant, leader of the country, president. I don't fucking know, because they don't tell me what she is. They just promote her, and it's like, oh, okay, she's a hero, I guess. What did she do? And this is from a fucking dancer at the beginning of the movie. It was just confusing. It was annoying. Jennifer Lawrence's Russian accent was pretty bad. It's a shame. And I do mean that. It is a shame, because Jennifer Lawrence, I really like Jennifer Lawrence. I really do. I mean that in the best way possible. As a person, as in real life, I've always liked Jennifer Lawrence. She is really funny. She is fun. She just has this fun personality with her. Really filled with joy. She's that type of person that when she's at a party, she will be the life in the party. Like, she just seems really funny. She's really relatable, I guess you could say. Relatable to me. She's like the type of person that I would hang out with, and I would like to be friends with her. She's like, I would be friends with Jennifer Lawrence. And I have always enjoyed seeing her on interviews, behind the scenes, because she's always having a fun time. She's always really funny, and she has this great personality. She's always calling people out on bullshit, and I do like that about her. The sad thing is that I have not seen her in a good movie ever. Every movie that I see her in, it's always the same character. She's really serious. She's really determined. And I don't know. Is it just me, or is that doesn't feel like her? I feel like she would be better if she was in a more comedic role. Maybe she was in a more lighthearted role where she was kind of a fun person or an enjoyable person to be on screen. Like, she was the life of that one film. But she never does that. She's always the serious type. And that gets annoying, because when she's too serious, she becomes very boring. And I don't know if maybe that's just me, but that is how I feel about it. I do genuinely like Jennifer Lawrence as a person, as a human being in real life. I always get a kick out of reading news about her, because she's really funny. But as a movie, she has really not done it for me yet. She's not made a movie where I enjoyed her in, other than, I guess, the first X-Men, but even then I didn't think she was that great in it. So yeah, the final verdict for Red Sparrow is a very unenthusiastic 5 out of 10. This movie was boring. It moved along at a snail's pace. It was too long. It wasn't that interesting. It was unrealistically beautiful. And by the end of it, it was unsatisfying. But I can't say that the movie was really bad either. There were some good things I liked about it, but I can't say it was good, because the good things were really just kind of dumbed down by all the bad parts of the movie. So I'm really stuck. So the movie was just a very mediocre experience. I didn't hate watching it. I didn't love watching it. It was just like, whatever. I guess it was decent. It was fine. So 5 out of 10. Have you guys seen Red Sparrow? You probably haven't, but if you have, let me know down in the comments below. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a nice day.